I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you speak up and say that again?
Congressman Donald Norcross's office. How may I help you?
Hi, ma'am. I just got a call from a staffer, and it was a bit confusing.
Okay.
I just needed to verify. Um, can you verify that a Zach works in?
Yes.
Okay.
So, what was your name?
Nicholas Woodall.
Okay. Nicholas, you wrote in about a variety of different issues. One of them being
Hold on a second, ma'am. I can barely hear you. Can you hold on?
Yes.
I'm right beside a machine, and it creates all kinds of interference from the signals to everything else. Can you hold on while I turn it off for a second?
Yes.
Hold on. Okay, ma'am. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. So I just had a conversation. It was a good 5-minute conversation with this intern, Zach.
Or
And
staff member?
Zach,
Yes.
sorry, say that?
Yep. Okay.
Yes. So let me go on. Don't worry about acknowledging. If you don't hear it, ask. So Zach tells me that a letter that I sent over, a 3 to 5 minute read, based off of the group's level of education, average high school, anyways, maybe a tough read. I don't know. Anyways, it asks a real simple question. What does this office require, specifically the congressman, to move forward and create legislation or draft up legislation that would require states to have a minimum amount of materials in regards to language translations of criminal laws, specifically criminal, not governing laws, and also minimum amount of education and information for rights and responsibilities, as well as ensuring there's increased access to these, and a couple other issues. So this staffer, Zach, told me that he could not give me a timeline for a simple one-sentence phrase to be determined by the congressman. I work in production, so there's always a timeline set on something. Even if it's late, even if it gets delayed, you always set a timeline with someone. That's just general policy. I'm sure that, and while I do apologize because I know this is a minority issue, or this affects the majority, not the majority, but the minority, I do apologize for even taking this much time with this issue. And that's why more people aren't calling in, contacting, is because this is an issue of let's figure out timelines, what we can do, streamline this, and be as respectful and just simply get these improvements done, determine what's required. Is it possible that you can set me up, find this information, see who is passing it along to
So it would be
the
me.
congressman?
Yes. So
Yes.
it would be me. So I'll address a couple points that you raised just now. So the congressman cannot mandate the state to do that, right? I can definitely
No.
pass it along.
This wouldn't be legislation to require the state to do this or that. This would be I'm sorry. So it wouldn't necessarily be a mandate. It would be similar to states are required to, all trials, whether they be federal or state level, are required to be seen by a jury if, if requested so. You always have the
So
right
yeah,
to a
so
jury trial.
I completely get what you're saying. So I'll address your concern in basically one answer, if that makes sense. So what I can do, right, is pass it along to him and urge him to do so, okay? Um,
Okay. You're going to have to
and
speak up a bit, ma'am.
so I am. Maybe the signal is going in and out. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you better now, ma'am.
Okay, I'm really close to the phone now. So what I can
Thank you.
do is I can pass it along to the congressman so it can be on a federal level, right? If it is a federal law, then it would then be across the nation and therefore apply to the states. However, he can't necessarily mandate a state, right? Or
No, and I wouldn't expect you to or ask you to, and I've started the process of reaching out to or attempting to reach out on a local level. However, this is an issue of not just New Jersey residents, but nationwide. If a person isn't in, this is, I wouldn't say this is similar to, this doesn't hold a candle to the, this is a candle to the sun, and into, saying that this would be equal rights for citizens. This is simply an increasement of rights for citizens. This is, a flashlight to the sun. This is a flashlight in the night compared to the sun of the daylight of having, simple civil rights. So what's being asked is to say that human beings are entitled to these rights. And because human beings are entitled to these rights, that more so Americans are entitled to these civil rights. To say that a person is to be introduced and in some measure educated if they seek the education into their rights and responsibilities when interactions with law enforcement occur, as well as their rights and responsibilities to the law, information on where to find the law, and also the translations be made so that persons who are American citizens have these opportunities to receive the same information that governs over them, even if it's only criminal law. And so to not give a timeline or to say, this can't be mandated on a state level, this is not being asked to being mandated on a state level. This is being asked that states be required to have this minimum amount of information. Law enforcement interactions, introductions to where to find this information online, so on and so forth, criminal translations, because we care about the victims and we care about the citizens. We care about, all people involved. And use of the justice system creates a happier, safer community, without a doubt. Proper use of the justice system. Improved use of the justice system. And so that's why I'm asking to say, if I was calling about an issue of majority issues, like let's say there was a steel, there was a law that was passed that's going to improve the ability to bring steel into the United States. I know that there's a timeline. I couldn't tell you what it is that, this has to be done or that has to be done. I would say that if I brought drafted legislation or requested that legislation be drafted by this office, that I would be given a timeline. Someone would say to me, we'll get this done for this session, or we'll have this prepared for next session, or when does this need to be done? Before the next riot? Before the next law enforcer kills someone who is confused about their rights, and the taxpayers pay out millions of dollars, and then the resulting riots end up being called riots, or the resulting marches end up, with vandalism that has them declared by riots, and it becomes political fiasco, and it causes millions upon millions of dollars of damage. I would say that would be, let's do the timeline before that. Let's say 60 days out. And if we miss that date, if we don't have a chance to draft legislation or fulfill this office's needs that it needs to see required so that it can draft legislation by that time, well, then we'll work for the next date. We'll feel bad about it. But again, this is, what can this office do to serve the people? And so I'm asking for a timeline. If you miss the timeline, that's fine. I understand things happen. Can I speak with someone who can give me an estimate timeline?
So
to give a
I'm part of the legislative team, right? And I'm telling you right now, we just got your request 4 days ago. I can double check again with the congressman and the rest of the legislative team to get you back a timeline, but I know that you called yesterday to check on it.
I sent this office the letter on the 13th.
Yes. And we're still working on it, and we're still reviewing it, and I can get back to you once I have more information. But as of right now, I don't have a specific timeline.
Okay. Ma'am, that is not the communication that was conveyed to me by Intern Zach. Intern Zach told me that the information was going to be passed directly to the congressman.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a miscommunication because you're telling me that, you have to work on it, you have to do this, you have to do that. I'm sure there's some research that you have to do to ensure that the law can be, considered, constitutionally sound or whatever that.
Yes, so that is part of passing along to the congressman.
Okay, ma'am. So can I ask you, how long does an average piece of draft legislation take to be required, or for this particular question, similar to, let's look at it from this venue. If someone went to federal court and they filed a federal question, suit against the federal United States, and they said, the federal United States has not provided me with my rights and responsibilities. Let's say they sued this specific office. The specific office has refused to give a reasonable amount of time that it will provide the information and a reasonable form for where to find the rights and responsibilities that I have when law enforcement interactions occur. If a federal question was made, then a timeline would be set. There's a specific timeline or so on and so forth. And so, while I'm getting out into areas that I don't really know about, I don't want to lie to you about something that I don't know the honest truth about. I'm asking that if this office is confused in even the slightest, that you take 2 minutes of the congressman's time. And if the congressman is confused about this situation, then you can simply reply back. It won't take months to handle. I will know that the congressman is aware of this issue of lack of fairness in the justice system, lack of equal opportunity to access to materials and information for persons who don't speak English or read English, and we'll make an assessment from there. America doesn't have an official language, so there's a gray area in there. So if it adopted one, it would be this or that, this or that. I don't want to go back and forth with you, ma'am. I shouldn't be taking this much time with this issue. 15 minutes on a call is way too long after the 7 that I talked with Zach about his confusion. So, 20 minutes into it, can you give me a timeline?
Sir, I do not have a timeline. I can get back to you when I do.
And what is your name, ma'am?
My name is Ashley Estevez.
I heard Ashley the first part, but I didn't hear the last part.
Estevez?
Okay, Miss Estevez. If I don't hear back in 30 days, that's plenty time for...
so I can get back to you when I have more information. And you're more than welcome to call me if you have any additional questions. I'm just calling you to give you the courtesy that I did receive your call. And as the person that passes along the concerns, I did just want to let you know I'm confirming that we've taken a look at it and that it'll get passed along. That's the
Yes,
purpose of this call right now.
but generally, but ma'am, I'm sure you're college educated. You could not be in that office if you were. When my friend went to college, he said that girls were just like they are in high school. They'll take your number, but they won't necessarily call you. So when you say you'll pass it along, that doesn't provide to me, a definite date. That doesn't, this is business, ma'am. If I were lobbying from a big company, I don't believe that an open-ended date would be reasonable. And so I'm asking you, if I don't get a response in 30 days, what would this office say would be reasonable for petitioning or, holding grievance with this office to say, do you want 100 people to call you 100 times a day? What other options are there? You see?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely schedule a meeting with our office as well.
Yeah, but what would scheduling? You're misunderstanding, ma'am.
All right.
I don't want to take this. But if I don't hear something in 30 days, I'm going to contact you back. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
So if you can,
we'll be here.
Simply make a note. Right. Estevez and Zach the intern
Perez.
was not the
Yeah.
last who hangs out. Right. I got you, ma'am. I do apologize for taking this office's time, but I apologize to the constituents, not necessarily you. You're there to serve the people, and we are having a very, very complicated issue with a very simple order. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
You as well.